Welcome back to the Unqualified Podcast, episode 9. I'm Logan.
I'm Austin.
And we're just going to get started. So we're doing these, just in case everyone's wondering why it's a little off, we're doing it every 10 days. We're going to put an episode out. We like that. It works for us. We're a little busy, so we're going to go with that.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're mostly going to talk about journaling and meditation, two things that we both do a lot of.
Yes.
But yeah, so we'll dive right in. I got a question for you about meditation because... So we've both been meditating off and on for about 2 years, but in the last, I'll say 3 months, it's become like
a lot more. So we're taking it a lot more seriously.
Yeah.
I should
we're
say.
Like, for
it's
me,
every day.
Every day, yeah.
Every day.
But it's one of the weirdest things when I tell people about that I meditate. You always get that look because growing up, meditation was you get in that weird position and you go
like,
hum.
It's like
and
very
stuff like that.
a lot of people considered it similar to like yoga. It's very kind of
which it kind of is.
It is similar, but it was like a very sort of like almost
taboo. Almost,
yeah, very taboo.
So my question was, why do you think people are so not against it, but are reject the idea of meditation so quickly? Because most people you have to convince, well, meditation's actually good for you and benefits and this, that. Most people just go, well, no, I'm okay. I'll just take a deep breath here.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's the same thing with. So, I think it's very similar in a way to something like exercising, eating right, getting your sleep. Everyone, if you get down to it, has probably heard at some point in their life, like from like multiple sources that are like successful and stuff like that, that meditation can be beneficial. There are obviously different types of meditation, but I feel like, at least from my experience, everyone I've talked to has had at least some moment where they've heard, okay, yeah, meditation is something that, like, especially if you look on everyone, like, you know, you go on YouTube and there's all these inspirational things, and you take a look at some of the people that they're talking to, or like the successful people that they're interviewing, and a lot of them have meditation in their, daily activities. But the thing is, it's a lot like exercise, or like I said, exercise or stretch. I think it's closest to stretching, where it's like, you know you should do it, you know you can get benefits from it, but it's really easy to go, well, I don't really need that.
I'll take a day off kind of thing.
And the thing I've found with meditation is it requires a lot of consistency on my part, and let me explain that a little bit further. So, we do at least our meditations through an app called Headspace. Not sponsored by them, I should say that. It's just the ones that we use. There's other ones. There's Calm. There's a lot of other ones.
XPT breath work. I've heard great things about.
Yeah, there's millions of different ways you can meditate, and I think that everyone, if they're going to do meditation, should find their own and what works for them. In my experience, what works for me is using the Headspace app. But what I found initially, my biggest problem was, I'd go for like the 10 days. So it starts off with 3 basic courses of 10 days each. And I'd get about midway through the day 2. I mean, not day 2, course 2. And something would happen. I'd be too focused. Like, I'd be itchy while I'm doing it. Or my mind would race. And because it was difficult, I would stop. From some reason or another, I was like, you're doing too much in life, or this isn't working, you're going to stop. But that being said, when I would come back to it...
Did you start over again?
I'd start over again. And what I found was, my biggest problem, and this is another thing, if you've done like the basics, it can be very difficult to have to sit through 10 days of stuff you already know. Which a lot of people will laugh at, but I found that for me, personally, I kept getting unmotivated because I felt like, oh, well, I'm still struggling with the same thing.
Well, it'd be the same thing if you're doing a sport and then once a week, you practice 5 days a week in whatever sport it is, and once a week, the whole practice was just basics.
Yeah.
So or every couple weeks, you just do a full week of basics, and that would... that would really, really suck after a while. Like, it's good to basics, but
once you know and I'm not saying don't train the basics, but especially because most of his courses, as I've continued doing it recently, a lot of it comes back to the basics. which is why they're called basics. But I equate it to similar to like weightlifting. Like, for example, take a snatch, for example.
Sure.
It's a very complicated exercise, and you need to spend a lot of time on the basics, for sure. And when you master it, or you have some experience with it, you don't want to go and relearn it consistently. You want to go back, look at your technique, make a fix, and keep going forward. If you're not, in this case, or for some people that might understand, you're supposed to, when you're pulling on a snatch, you got to wait and then get under the bar. If you're like getting under the bar too quickly, that would be what you fix. You wouldn't go back to square one and go, okay, now this is how you pull from the floor. This is how you do this. Mm-hmm. You'd keep it in mind, but you wouldn't start over. All of this is basically a very complicated way of saying I kept struggling with having to continuously restart over. So when I started this time, and I started being consistent, mm-hmm. and I kept just going every day. 10 minutes is what it was. You just sit down for 10 minutes, and everyone has 10 minutes in their day. It's about being disciplined. Have you heard that word before on this podcast? But it's about being disciplined enough to consistently come back even though you don't want to.
Right.
And
so is that what you've done recently?
Yeah, that's what I've done.
And like revamping this, you haven't done the basics and you've moved on to the other stuff.
So there's, like I said, there's 3 courses. I kept doing basics 1 and part of 2. So I started 2 and 3 and then I moved from there. And now I'm on to other courses because I feel like I'm learning new stuff.
Right.
You have to go back and learn a little bit of the skills, but you can't go back to square one. But bringing it back to your question of why do I think a lot of people avoid it? Meditation is supposed to be something, like when you hear people, they're like, oh yeah, like some people will be like, oh, it's really easy, or oh, it's too hard. And I feel like a lot of people come in with a lot of expectations. Stuff like meditation is about clearing your mind, like having no thoughts. That's not at all what it is. What it is in my experience, I shouldn't say that's not at all what it is. What it is in my experience is having your thoughts, having all that, but being able to take a step back and not follow these thoughts. Like just being able to observe how you're feeling, your breath.
So people are getting the wrong sense, or people are coming into meditation and they have this assumption of it, well, it's going to be this way, and then also with the difficulty that it can be, they seem to go down the wrong path, and, well, it's too hard, I don't want to do it today.
Yeah.
Because it is funny, I realized that the 10 minutes a day, or you could do the smaller ones, 5 or 3 minutes, it's so funny that you just don't do it some days. You're like, I don't want to, or like, oh, I'll do it here, but then this or whatever. Meanwhile, you'll spend close to an hour on your phone for some people. Most people are our age.
Yeah.
And there's no problem doing that. But
Not
the 3, 5, or 10 minutes, or even if you go up higher, the 20-minute courses, it's absolutely hilarious.
People won't invest in that.
Yeah, but it seems like people come in with assumptions, and it's very difficult to train your mind to just simplify everything and just calm down. Because it's pretty much what you're doing, is you're calming the mind for it, right?
You're allowing your mind to rest almost is what I find it is. Or focus on something small that doesn't require a lot of effort, because your mind's obviously going to think when you're conscious. Yeah. It's about focusing on things that are simple and easy.
Yeah. Well, let's it's really funny because I don't know very many people that are happy to sit in silence. Yeah. And meditation is, or at least the guided meditations that we do, seem to be a kind of sitting in silence, sitting with yourself. You have the little bits that you'll do within the guided meditations.
Mm-hmm. Or you hear him talk, but really it's a lot of alone.
Especially in today's society.
Yeah.
With all go.
That's another thing is, first of all, time. A lot of people don't want to invest time in something that,
no matter how
it's
small.
Beneficial, but it's not one of the big beneficial things. Like, it's not like exercising daily, which some people can't even do that, and it's not a slight on them. It's just they find it hard to find time for that. So, in their mind, how are you going to find time for meditation? The other thing is, like you said, sitting in silence.
Yeah.
It can be very difficult to sit
Yeah.
in silence. People get impatient.
Well, I view it as if you can't sit in silence, you're not comfortable with yourself.
Exactly.
Which is, I don't know, some yogi shit to say or something like that.
Yeah.
Because not all of us are comfortable sitting in silence. I'm not most of the time, but I'm working on becoming better sitting with myself and my thoughts and not picking up my phone, or even, like, worst case scenario, I don't have my phone or something and I go, I gotta do something. Well, obviously there's a reason for that. Something's not right in my brain. There's a reason to meditate. I always try and, like, diverge all my thoughts from, well, crap, this isn't going well, or this needs to be fixed, or I need to quick fix for screen time or for stimulation to, well, let's just slow down and just try and figure out why.
Yeah.
Find the positive in a weird situation, because it's not how you, I've said this before, it's not the situation that bugs you, it's how you view the situation. So most people view just being with themselves and staying with themselves as boring or unproductive or a whole bunch of other things. But I find it can be one of the most productive things you can do.
Yes, it definitely is. And especially with meditation, meditation is one way of learning. And so you have, let me explain on that. You have reading, right? Everyone knows you can read books and they'll give you information on how to do this, how to do that, how to control your emotions or stuff like that. But in my experience, so far, and
we're
how
still,
about I back up? Let me
beginners in this.
Yeah, first of all, we're still beginners, but let me back up and tell you a bit of why I was so motivated this time to stick with it.
Okay.
I'm an angry person. I can be very angry. It's something that I'm struggling with, and I've taken a lot of time recently to try and figure out
the
why I'm so angry, or how I can not control, because emotions aren't something you should control. There's something they're like I'm reading a book called Sovereignty, and he talks about how they're like indicators. They're indicators for your life. Doesn't mean you should act on them, especially not anger. But it's an indicator for how you feel. Like, you got angry, for example, you got passed over for a promotion at work. Well, use it as an indicator of, hey, maybe I wasn't doing this right, or maybe I need to spend a bit more time, or take a realistic look at whether I really want this. So it's a good indicator. But what I found for me is in trying to get, not control, because I said you're not trying to control, but in trying to manage my anger a little bit, the most useful tool that I've come across so far has been meditation for myself.
Right.
And that's only one of the courses. So the course that I'm doing on right now is called Transforming Anger. So obviously it's focused on anger.
Yeah.
But there's other courses like happiness or grieving or leaving home.
Gratitude. There's different things.
Things like that I feel like can, in some way, every person can benefit from. Whether or not it's actually like all of it, or just these courses.
So my next question from that is, because that goes right into what I was going to ask you, is who do you think benefits the most from meditation in your life? Is it yourself? Is it mom, dad, me? Is it coworker? What is it, or who is it?
Well, this is actually very interesting. So
thing.
one of the biggest focuses in Basics 2 and Basics 3 of Headspace, and again, we're not sponsored by them, but this is just my experience, so it's what I can talk off of, is having a why, like knowing your why. Another thing we repeat a lot, but having a why for meditation, which, as we discussed last episode, is very important in anything you're trying to be disciplined with. It's a good reminder, and it can help make the task easier. Meditate.
Something that you
want to do. So he talked a bit about, well, think about why you're doing this and who you're doing this for. Now, in terms of your question, who do I think it benefits the most? Yourself. And I'll explain why very briefly here, and then I'll move on. But it affects everyone around you, but first it has to change you in order to help everyone around you.
Right.
For example, with the anger part of it, if I am able to control my anger and I'm able to manage my anger, I shouldn't say control, I just said, I keep saying.
But right.
Yeah, but if I can manage my anger and come to terms with my emotions, use it as an indicator, I am able to basically be a kinder person, which will then, after the fact, help the people around me.
The kind of thinking where you can't help the world till you help yourself. You can't fix the world till you fix yourself.
And I think there is a degree of that, and some people might disagree with that, and that's fine. At least in my point of view, I see it as you have to help yourself with the meditation. Then it will help those around you, which may be the reason you need to do it. But you can't help others unless you help yourself first, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, that's kind of funny because I was going to say you kind of go with that with talk about like I'll say fix yourself to help fix situations with other people. Kindness with yourself to kindness to others kind of thing. What part of meditation do you use daily? Because we'll do the 10-minute meditation, but then a lot of times I can find myself not focusing on living presently like you're supposed to, and I just go about my day. Is there some part of meditation that you take into just the day afterwards?
Absolutely. Well, for starters, I should say, at least with this guided one, he gives you tasks to focus on to help you be more present and more appreciative of the world around you. But I find that a lot of people with meditation are able to live in the moment more.
Become present.
You don't take things that are happening for granted. And the big one for me is one of the basics he talked about. Okay, now when you get up, for the rest of the day, I want you to at least 5 times think about sitting, like the act of sitting and the act of standing. Like register in your mind, okay, I stood up, I sat. That's being present. That's thinking about the moment as it's happening.
Rather than being subconscious.
Rather than just doing it and going, okay, I'm doing this. And you sat and you know that you're sitting, but you didn't register it. And I was like, wow, five times? Like, I can do that easy. Like, once when I get up right now, I got 2. I got one when I did it, and then, like, when I stood up, and then, like, 10 minutes later, I got one for sitting down, and then I forgot about it till the next day. And the day after, he asked to try it again, and I got it 10 times because I was more mindful of these present moments. And what I found from that is I was more present in each moment. I was thinking about each moment rather than 10 moments from now, you know?
So do you get... So from meditation, the biggest thing you've got is leading consciously versus subconsciously into your life. Because at least for me, I can tell when my day's just flying by, but I don't feel like I've been part of my day. Versus if I spent the day, it normally is associated with how much screen time I had or how much artificial light or something like that. I can tell if I haven't had much screen time, for some reason, I don't know what it is, I seem to be more present in my day, and then just things compound into, it becomes a very good day for me. Is that kind of what you seem?
Well, I kind of think of it as again, in the book that I'm reading right now, Sovereignty, he talks about how everybody has a script, your scripts, and there are good ones and there are bad ones. So the scripts that he's talking about are, well, for example, you wake up, you brush your teeth, you wake up, you make your bed, you shower, you eat breakfast, you brush your teeth, you leave for work. That's like a script. You follow it every day. A lot of people have that. If they're in a routine, they'll do that. But they're going through the motions. They're not actually living in the moment. They're not appreciating that cup of coffee they're drinking. They're eating enjoying the feeling of warmth that comes in a shower. You don't appreciate it. You're just going through the motions. And I think that taking a step back and enjoying these moments can bring you a lot of satisfaction in life. At least I've found in moments that you wouldn't normally find satisfaction in.
Okay.
Now, that being said, going back to your original question, the other big thing is I'm more mindful of my breath.
Okay.
So, and it's similar to what I'm saying about being present in the moment, but it's another way of doing it. So, another challenge he laid out is and it's one that he's consistent throughout, especially with the anger one is breathing. Specifically breathing out and letting stress go for the anger one.
Kind of like visualizing the stress leaving your body.
So
kind of thing.
You can feel... So if you were to breathe in right now, that's all the air coming in, and then your body relaxing, the stress leaving, and you can't force it. It has to be just...
So you focus on the breath, and then through that, you get the benefits that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I realize that at work a lot is I'll just be going and helping one person after the other, and then I realize I kind of out of breath, but I haven't been doing anything where I'm out of breath. And then I focus on my breathing for half a second. I'm taking the most shallow breaths I've ever taken. Mm-hmm. So I try now to focus on, well, as I'm helping someone, let's take that deep inhale, deep exhale while we're listening and talk to people. And just sliding into deep breaths. And I found that work has become more enjoyable for me.
Yeah.
I haven't, because of lockdown, I haven't been able to introduce it into sports as well, or exercising and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But at least for working, especially in retail where it can be very stressful, I find that my stress levels have gone down a little bit at work, especially from customers being able to take a deep inhale and deep exhale. Yeah. Which is funny because all I did was focus or think, okay, and you're inhaling, 3, 2, 1, hold it for 1 second, and just exhale all of it out. And doing it like 2 or 3 times. And
it helps.
So
it helps a lot.
What the hell's going on?
Yeah. Now, just to wrap up this part of the meditation part of this episode, there is one thing I gotta say. Meditation, in my opinion, is very important, but the feeling you get from it can come from other things. I used to get it a lot from exercise, the same sort of feeling of being present in the moment or decompressing or some of the benefits that you get from meditation. Yeah. But I found that helped me with the short-term anxiety I was having, like stuff like, especially when I was in school, you got this assignment due, or
like a quick stress
relief. Yeah, it's a quick stress relief. It would help me get out that, anxiety. But I don't have that many quick stressors. I still do, and obviously I exercise still, so that has stayed there. But I found that introducing meditation has allowed me to how do I put it?
Be okay long term.
Be okay with the long term stresses, stuff like, what are you thinking about for your future? Are you going to be able to your emotions? Are you going to be able to get them under control, or are you going to be angry for most of your life? Things like that I'm able to, with meditation, confront and work through, rather than just banging out a quick workout and being like, oh, okay, I feel better. But bringing this full circle. The other things that I would recommend, if meditation isn't for you, there's a couple of things. Exercise, like I just mentioned, stretching, yoga, that kind of stuff, and journaling, which kind of brings us to the next part. Nice little segue. But journaling in the past, and still, I find it can sometimes be like meditation.
It's very much so.
And even...
Because you have to be present. That's the whole part of meditation.
So, for example, you'll laugh at this, but Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, his journals are called his meditations. Because they're very similar. And they actually were his version of meditating. But in saying that, you obviously have a lot more experience. You've been journaling longer than I have. Yes. My first question for you is, there's 2 types of journaling. There's just free writing journaling. Yeah. And then there's specific, everyday guided. Similar to how meditations have guided and unguided, is there one you prefer for you personally, or is there one that you feel you get more out of? And if so, why is that?
So I prefer to do the guided meditations, but I get more out of the, I'll say, freelance journaling, for example.
Why is that?
So the guided ones I'll do every day. So I have a morning journal and an evening journal. My morning is, what am I going to let go of? What am I grateful for? And 3 keys to today. And it's supposed to take 2 to 5 minutes to do, which sounds like a long time to write down 3, 4, 5 answers, but it's about thinking about that stuff. So I'll say, well, I'm grateful for having a job today, for example. And I actually have to think about, like, why am I grateful for it? Because it gives you about a paragraph space. So it's something to make, it's a gratitude. It makes me think about the gratitude I should have in my life. It's like a reset so I can start my day on the right track. And then my evening one that I have right now it's just a paragraph writing what happened today. And I find that's very beneficial in remembering the good parts of my day as well as the bad. And it makes it so that the next morning I can just pick up the next book. And less than 12 hours ago, I wrote down the good things I was trying to do for the day before. I can just transfer that into the next one. So I prefer to do the guided meditations because it's every day. And it is technically a quick fix. With the freelance ones, I find that it's most beneficial because I use it as a therapy session. I only write in my journal 3 to 4 times a week, but I do it with the big questions I have in my life. So, for example, I'll say I had a stressor at work or I didn't agree with someone at work. Well, the next day or the day of or whenever it might be, for example, I'll talk about what happened, why I think it happened, what were my thoughts, what do I think of my thoughts, and I'll just write down everything that's in my head about the situation. And then I'll give it 5-10 minutes, and I'll read it back to myself. And then maybe I'll write a little bit more, or I won't, or whatever, but I use it as a therapy session because I find that I know the answers in my head, probably. It's just about finding the answers. So I really enjoy doing it. Plus, when you get into the heat of a moment and you're arguing, for example, you can skip past stuff. If your brain goes into the fight or flight kind of motion. But taking a step back and writing down, like a witness report kind of thing for police. For example. I haven't ever done one, but I'm assuming you got everything. You try to remember all the stuff. It's a very present moment, present thing that you're doing. So I really, really enjoy, and I get the most out of my freelance journal, especially in times like these where not everyone's struggling with the pandemic in their own way, and therapists are going through a lot right now trying to deal with the mass influx of people that need help. So I still talk to my therapist, but being able to figure stuff out by myself has become very rewarding too.
Leading kind of past, into that, with freelance journals and a bit with the guided ones, to kind of explain my next question. In the past, I found one of the struggles I have with journaling is not being fully honest, not being fully... you're not opening up fully, and I've struggled in life sometimes with worrying about what others think of me. It's a huge problem in my life, and one that I still work on to this day. And it translated into my journals. I was writing things based off what I thought people, if somebody ever read my journal, what they would think of it. And I guess my question to you is, how important do you think it is to just be fully honest, or do you still think that you'll get similar benefits from just being mostly honest about it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, not being honest with yourself never helped anyone long term.
Yeah, exactly.
So I used to, and it's really, really funny. So I have a mullet, and when I was quite self-conscious throughout my life, especially high school. We all are. And then as years went on, had struggles. But when I first shaved my head to go into a mullet, I kind of had to go, well, this is me now. Screw what you think because I'm stuck with this. So that was almost a reset for me. And since then, I've become very, very, very honest with myself and put in the backseat, the rear view mirror, people's thoughts of me. As much as I still have the good thoughts and, well, this might be constructive, but overall, I don't think about what other people think as much, which has been beneficial. But for journaling, when I am honest with myself, the journaling session goes well. I realize it went well. My day it's more fulfilled throughout my day.
Yeah.
But even if, I write something down and I catch myself, well, that doesn't sound like my thoughts, or, well, you don't think that, Logan, or any of the thought process that is, well, someone else might think this, so I should write this down. I feel like I'm lying to myself, and I feel like I cheated myself. Mm-hmm. So it's become a very good, it's almost like it catches up to you very, very quickly, because I had one of my first pages in my journal that I have about 25 pages I've done in this new journal that I have. So 25 days worth of journaling. The first or second one, I can't remember off the top of my head. The day I wrote down lies to myself. Mm-hmm. Like things that I had thought that
wanted to hear.
That I thought that I wanted to hear, and thought of myself that through other people's lenses.
Yes.
So what kind of like when you do the obituary kind of that exercise where like, what do people think about you?
Yeah.
Almost like that. But I wrote down, and it took me aback, because I wrote some stuff down that I didn't think of myself ever before.
Yeah.
And it really opened my eyes to different things. So since then, I've really started to be cognizant of what I'm writing down. Mm-hmm. Because it's all about me. At the end of the day, I don't give a fuck what you think.
Yeah.
And you're my brother.
Yeah, exactly.
Example.
No, for sure.
You shouldn't give a fuck about what I think.
No, not at all.
Because it's not about you. I could go off and live in Thailand. Mm-hmm. You're not living in Thailand with me. What do I care what you think? For example.
It's your life, it's not mine.
Yeah, so I did a very roundabout way of saying there was a big explanation to say being honest with myself has been the biggest. It makes the biggest difference in whether or not I'm happy or not in my day. That took a long time to say just that, but that's what I mean.
My next question for you is kind of one that I've pondered in the past, is with other things, not just journaling, is do you think journaling benefits everyone, or do you think like everyone could benefit from it, or do you think that some people just it isn't for them? Like, do you think that if everybody took it seriously and was all honest that they could benefit from it, or does part of you feel like there are still people out there that it's just not for them?
Well, I think there's probably definitely people out there that it's not for them, because not everything's for everyone. I don't like rock music, for example, but lots of people love rock music. I don't like country as much. People love country music, especially where we're from. So it's not about whether or not it works for everyone or nobody. It's always in the middle. There is very little black and white in life. Most of what we live in is gray. Mm-hmm. So I recommend people try it.
Yeah.
I recommend people try it, and I think to build a habit, it takes 40 days or 60 days.
There's a bunch of things. There's like 22 days, 66 days, 40 days.
But anyways, I recommend you try it for... I recommend trying anything for a month. Mm-hmm. Like, actually try it for a month
thoroughly.
And if it doesn't work for you, or you don't find there's too many benefits, you don't have to stick with it. Because once again, it's your life.
Exactly.
I find if I do anything for a month and I'm still doing it for the full month, if someone asks me to try it, then it's sticking with me.
It's sticking with it.
So people definitely... I mean, some people don't want to meditate.
Yeah.
But journaling will be their meditation.
Yeah.
And some people don't want to journal because they have... There's different
some people
things.
like me and you do both.
Yeah.
And that's what we get the most out of. Yeah. It's about finding what works for you.
Yeah. Do you like the guided meditation? Because I did kind of thrust journaling upon you by buying you a guided meditation journal for, I think it was your birthday. It's bad that I don't know that, but...
I found that guided for me, I couldn't really get... And I journal. I still journal. For me, I feel like it needs to be free thinking. I feel like if I'm saying stuff like, what are three things... I think yours had a lot of, what are three good things that happened today? What are three things that, you're grateful for? Like, that sort of thing. And I found that I was getting some stuff out of it, but it felt very much like a task for me. And so, in terms for me, it's not that I didn't enjoy it and that I wouldn't try it again. It's just at that point... It's a lot of what we talked about of trying to do it all. I had a journal. I had that. I had an agenda. I have another book that's just on writing whatever, like tiny notes that you have that you're not going to write in your journal, but you just want it written down. Like, I have a lot of books, and it felt like a little bit too much. That being said, it's not something that I wouldn't revisit.
Well, that's kind of like it might work for you, but it didn't work at that point in your life.
Exactly.
That's another thing that I keep forgetting, and I should probably talk about more, is it might work for you, but it might not work right now in your life. Mm-hmm. People, we all have different lives. We all do different things. We all have the different struggles going on, different tasks, stressors, everything. Yep. So something that might be beneficial to 99% of the world might not be beneficial to you because of where you're at in your life. Or vice versa.
For sure.
So I think it's about finding, once again, it's about finding what works for you, whether that's meditation, journaling, riding a bike, going for a run, playing video games, anything.
For sure. Yeah, no, you're totally right.
Because anything that you're present in can be counted as a meditation.
Yeah, I find that's the big thing for me of what meditation and journaling means overall is being present, is being aware and being honest, as if you should be, about your emotions, your issues, and being present in that moment.
Because I count running as a meditation.
Oh yeah, and exercise can be for sure.
But especially the ones where, like running, a big one, biking, any cardiovascular activity. I really find those I count those as a meditation for me because I have to focus on my breath, and you can't run and be thinking about dinner tonight or dinner tomorrow because you might trip and fall. Yeah. So you have to be focusing. You focus on that next step in front of you, so you're literally thinking about the next half second in your life, being present. Yeah. So,
I guess I kind of answered a bit of my question of my final question for you about journaling is what's the biggest thing you've noticed from journaling in terms of how it's benefited other areas of health and wellness for you? I think that kind of like exercise kind of shows like it's a little another meditation for you, but basically, here, I should give an example first. Like with meditation, with doing that and finding that calm, I feel like with my workouts, they're more about getting the most out of it and not getting rid of all this energy. It's about being what's best for the muscle, what's best for my cardio, what's best for my athletic performance, rather than what used to be, while you're angry, do a bunch of push-ups, Okay. Or do the exercises you like that you feel like you're getting the most of. Or, for example, sleep. Meditation allows me to, you're at ease with your emotions, what's going on. I feel more connected with what's going on in my life. Sure, yeah. So going to sleep feels easier than when I was stressed out and I had no idea how to handle things.
You don't have all the thoughts.
I don't have all the... Yeah, so...
You can wind down your mind.
I can wind down my mind now. So my question to you is, how has journaling kind of affected other areas of wellness for you? Like your sleep, like your exercise, that sort of thing.
It's benefited hugely because, especially with the freelance ones, I write down and I go through my big worries, struggles, stressors, drama, whatever it might be in my life. Yep. And I write it down and I go through it. Same as if I were to talk to my therapist. Yes. I go through it and I try and figure it out. If I don't figure it out, I better understand the thought process I had. So later in the day, for example, I'm going to bed, I don't have, I made my girlfriend mad. Mm-hmm. And God damn it, was I right? Was she right? Was I wrong? Who's wrong? What's going on? I can write it down and I go through it, for example. So falling asleep's easier. I have less on my mind. It's the same with meditation too, is you don't go into it thinking, I also have this to do and that to do and this and that and this and that. It's about simplifying your life. The KISS strategy for living your life. Keep it simple, stupid. Yes. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS. I try to live by that. I read that in Unbeatable Mind, which is what I'm reading right now.
It's also in The Office.
I was wondering, I couldn't remember where I got it, but that that's a huge thing I'm trying to live by. So taking away stressors if I take away 25% of my stressors from journaling, that's 25% less I don't have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
If another 10% is from meditation, perfect. There's 35% of my stressors gone. If the exercise does this.
Yeah, and slowly you chip away at it.
It's about everything for me. So I don't have one thing that benefits or takes away all my stress or takes away all my emotion towards something, but it's about everything combining.
Mm-hmm. The one last thing I want to touch on before this episode's over is on relationships. And I think you can speak to this as well as I can. But
I hope I can.
What I've found, I hope you can, with journaling, when I do it, with meditation, I've found, and I know we don't talk about relationships as much as other parts of health, but it's a very important part. I've found, especially in my romantic relationships, or just that with like my close family,
well, we're not
stressors, these stressors, like the less stress, the handling your emotions, can benefit these relationships completely. And for the most blunt example of that is with my anger. If I'm a less angry person, if I can understand my anger and use it as an indicator, or if I'm able to sympathize with whoever's making me upset, I'm not going to blow my lid and just go crazy. I'm not going to, lose my mind over something that, really isn't that worrisome. And you can find that. And the other thing is being present in the moment. If you're able to get present in the moment, you will get so much more out of time spent with family, with loved ones, with your friends, just people that you meet on the street. You can get a lot more out of any conversation or any moment if you're just present with it.
Well, I found that, I was thinking the other day, I don't think, I've had a quite short relationship in grand scheme of things. Mm-hmm. But I don't remember, or I know for a fact that we haven't had a full-blown argument.
Same with me and my girlfriend.
And I know for a fact that I haven't had a full day of being angry at my girlfriend. Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming that she probably has been mad at me at some point because I'm an idiot. But I know that keeping my stress levels down with different things and working things out myself and then going to her with something, for example, I'll use my girlfriend as an example. Mm-hmm. The conversations are better because I'm not going into it full steam ahead. What the hell's your problem? I first, because I'm honest with meditation and journaling, along with other things, I ask myself, well, did you mess up? Mm-hmm. Or should you be the one apologizing? Versus letting my ego take over. Yeah. And letting my ego feel the conversation is in the, well, no, I'm right. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, what's the truth, Logan? Yeah. And that's what I found is just making things so good in relationships. Which telling the truth, that's very easy for people to say. But
actually doing it.
Yeah, actually doing it is a struggle that I'm working on, but I seem to be doing a lot better now in my life because I started journaling recently and the meditation and just combining it all.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't know, journaling and meditation, if you didn't listen to the rest of the podcast, it's fucking amazing.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, this is episode 9. Appreciate you guys listening if you did. If you only listened to a portion of it, that's still awesome. Yeah. Would love you if you guys liked, commented what your thoughts were, subscribed as well. Yeah. Share this wherever you want. We're going to be putting this on Spotify soon enough. I have to figure that out.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, peace.
Hold on real quick. The only other thing, just a quick reminder, which we want to give it in every episode. We are the Unqualified Podcast for a reason. We are not professionals. We are only giving our opinion, and are basing things off of our experience and what we've read and what we've learned. It might work for you, it might not, but take everything you hear with a grain of salt, as you should with everything in your life. That being said, now for sure, I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Peace.